Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. I will hand you over to Dalbir Sahota, who will be our presenter for this morning.
Morning, afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to give it a few more minutes for people to join. And so the attendees list goes up. We'll get the ball rolling. But thank you for those of you who've joined already. Okay, we're going to give it another 30 seconds and then we'll kick off. Great, I think we'll kick off now. So good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on the Bankers Almanac Financial Counterparty KYC webinar. If we could move to the next slide, please. So I'm Dalbir Sahota. I head up the product management team for Bankers Almanac, and I'm also joined by my colleague Sumit Bardwaj, who is the product manager running the roadmap and the execution of everything that we look to achieve across a given year. So today's agenda. So we are going to give you a roadmap update similar to what we shared approximately about 4 or 5 months ago, just in terms of what's evolved, what's changed, and what is the new roadmap for 2023. What we will also be doing, so it's going to take some time to demo some of our latest, greatest features that we've put into the product over the recent months. We're also going to show you what's coming next. So what's coming in terms of a key customer problem that we're looking to solve for. And a lot of our innovation that we deliver is based on your feedback. So I would like to take a moment just to say a big thank you to all of you that have provided feedback to us, be it through NPS score and data that we collect in the product, or through our customer support channels, and finally any outreach that we've done bilaterally, mutually, to understand some of your feedback, understand some of your pain points, and essentially how we can look to resolve those. So big thank you for all of that. There will be a section for Q&A as well, and we're looking to get some of your feedback through a anonymous survey today as well. So it'd be great to have your participation in that, and there'll be plenty of time for Q&A. So without further ado, let's move on. And this is the 2023 roadmap. So our North Star, our vision overall, and which we are aspiring to achieve, is to be the market leader in compliance data and document exchange for regulated banks and for PSPs. Something that hasn't changed, that was there and present last year, and that is very much a strategic goal. So just in terms of expectations has changed, very little, but that's what we're shooting for. And in 2023, this is how we're looking to achieve and get closer to that North Star, with some key features being delivered in the roadmap. Some have already progressed and have been delivered. So as part of our monthly release cadence, we've had 2 releases this year already. That builds on the monthly releases that we've had on the last 2.5 years. And every month going forward into this year, you're going to see releases every month. So what's been delivered so far? Bank rankings, we've delivered a new page and new feature set there. There's a level of automation that's delivering those bank ranking data to you as customers and to the market. There's an export feature that we've delivered so you can download the data within the product in an XML format. And the other big aspect of feature delivery that we've done is digitalizing the Wolfsburg questionnaire. So when we had this webinar approximately 4 or 5 months ago, we asked a series of questions to help us manage our backlog, our priorities for the roadmap. This certainly came up in the top 3 priorities. So we've delivered that in the product. You'll see that today. Sumit will be sharing that shortly. And then equally, we've provided that data in the API as well. So all of that rich data for over 4,000 customer due diligence questionnaires that we have, the Wolfsburg questionnaires that we have, there's the data from those questionnaires that are in the product digitally now and also in the API. Could I take a moment just to talk about what's coming down the roadmap? So what we're working on next, customer messaging system, you'll hear about in this session as well. It's a key problem that we're looking to solve for. So I won't spoil the surprise and spoil the insight that I assume it's going to share a little bit down the line. But essentially, it's a way for banks across the globe to be able to bilaterally exchange messages centering around compliance questions that they may have on data and the data that we have and the data that is owned by set FI. So you'll see a little bit more around that. The WFQ, the Wolfsburg questionnaire insight, essentially what we're looking to do is provide some insights on the questionnaire. So a little bit moving away, just not from providing digitalized data, but essentially giving some insights that will speed up how compliance is done and make it much more efficient whilst keeping the effectiveness and the quality absolutely pristine in terms of what you look to achieve. We're going to evolve some of our event-driven alerting that we have in the product. So again, through a series of discoveries with customers around the globe, this is a need that is coming out. So currently, there is some basic alerting that we have in the product. What we're looking to do is enrich that. So as and when UBOs change, we provide that within the product. So you can see who was the UBO before, who was it after, percentage changes, and equally with any documents changing, providing alerts to customers and the market around what documents are changing for what financial institutions. And some of the design work that we're working through there is to ensure some of that is highly configurable to avoid the scenario being flooded with many updates and many alerts where you don't necessarily have corresponding banking relationships with set banks in question. We're going to be doing some experimentation around bringing some PSP and non-banking financial institution data into the product. So the fourth green bar along the middle there, PSP and NBFI data. Going to be a level of experimentation to fuel that new data into the product. And finally, one of the key new features that we're bringing out for this year is search on UBOs. So the ability to search on a UBO and see what connections that UBO has across the entire landscape of Bankers Almanac. At the moment, from customer feedback that we're getting, it's very good that customers in the market can see UBOs associated to an FI, searching on the FI to reveal the UBO. This is looking at it the other way around, so almost flipping it, so you can see insight on the UBO and the connections that it has across the FI landscape, the financial institution landscape within Bankers Almanac. So along those aspects of new features and new products that we're going to put out into Bankers Almanac, there is ongoing enhancements that we're making to existing feature sets, and those are highlighted in red. And the beauty of what we do as part of our commitment to you as customers and commitment to the market, we can be very agile in terms of how we deliver some of these features. So if there's greater demand and greater need around certain problems that we're hearing from our customers, and you are sharing this with us, we will move some of the features deliver some earlier, maybe deliver some later. So we've got that agility to shift the roadmap based on your customer needs and your customer problems. Plenty of time for questions towards the end, so feel free to just digest aspects that I've shared, and then you can ask some questions on it towards the end of the session. In terms of recent product developments, again, this is a key principle of our product management and development cycles. You said, we did. This is what you stated to us in terms of the aspects that you wanted to evolve in the product, whether it's specific customer problems and feedback that we're delivering. You shared this all with us, and what we did was deliver these back into the product. So these are 6 key areas which we have evolved since our last webinar, and our last webinar update to you as customers and the market. So mentioned the bank rankings, there's some UBN enhancements that you'll see shortly, some alerting that we've delivered, the digitalized Wolfsburg questionnaire, a new FAQ section, and also some country ranking evolvements around being able to export that data, and I said a level of automation going in to update that data automatically. So we're going to continue. This is very much a journey for the ongoing transformation of Bankers Almanac and response to customer needs. We empathise with many customers, hearing their pain and some of the challenges that they have in and around being compliant, AML, KYC compliant, and from our surveys and insights, the cost of compliance continues to rise. So we're looking to reduce some of that with some of these new features that we're evolving. Equally, the quality of AML standards continues to rise with regulatory change. So we're looking to aid that through some of our design work around the Wolfsburg questionnaire, and then fundamentally that customer experience. Again, your customers, we want to be evolving that customer experience to make it as pristine and as per the requirements of the globe and the ever changing and evolving needs of customers. So I've done quite a bit of insight and sharing with you what we've been doing, what we plan to do, and what we've achieved. Great segue into the demo. So I'm going to hand you over to Sumit, who's going to demo some of those key features on the roadmap that we shared. Over to you, Sumit. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Let me share my screen. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Sumit. I'm the product manager for Bankers Almanac product at LexisNexis Resolution. So at Bankers Almanac, our mission, our objective is to save time and effort for you all, for our customers, as well as provide the most up-to-date and accurate information. So to deliver on that objective, we work with you, listen to your pain points, and then find solution, which we keep introducing on monthly basis. So today,
sorry, Sumit, just to interrupt you, can you just share your screen? I can't see it up there.
Sorry about
Perfect.
that.
No, that's fine.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys see my screen?
That's perfect. Thanks.
Amazing. So today I'm going to present and demo 2 such features of Bankers Almanac, which is designed to solve big pain points you guys have told us. Apart from that, I'm also going to share one big feature we are working for in 2023, which is the customer messaging system. Dal spoken about it. It's in development. I'll show you some of the wireframes. So it's almost like a sneak preview of what is coming up. Okay, so first let's talk about UBO enhancement. As we all agree, identifying an ultimate beneficiary owner in a complex corporate structure is very time-consuming and labor-intensive task. Now, identifying a UBO is only one part, then understanding and finding out if that particular UBO is a politically exposed person, he's sanctioned individual, or there is negative media, some enforcement around it, around him or her, is another big challenge. So our Bankers Almanac UBO module addresses this problem. Let's take an example. Okay, let's take an example of a big Russian bank, so Bank of Rosia. So you come to Bank of Rosia, like any other entity in Bankers Almanac. It has various sections. It has information on entity, ownership, regulatory branches, payments, financial information, documents, and EDD. But we are more interested in understanding the ownership, the UBO structure. So let's go into the ownership chart. Now, as you can see, it's quite a complex organizational structure. So if you have to do it manually, it's going to take a lot of time. But we are interested in knowing about the UBO. So if I want to know about UBO, I'll just toggle this. So I know where the UBOs are located. So let's study one of them. So let's go to this guy. Let's pinpoint to this guy. This guy is Sergey Rodigin. He owns 3.03% of Bank of Rosia, which is a substantial amount. He is a sanctioned individual, PEP, and he had adverse media and enforcement around it. But as part of the due diligence, we need to know the UBO more. We need to know UBO holistically. So let's click and see that, what is he sanctioned for and who exactly have sanctioned him. So as we click the sanctioned flag here, it opens on the left, on the right hand side, it opens the drawer, which basically says that, who actually has sanctioned it. So this is a pretty sanctioned individual. He's sanctioned by US OFAC. He's also sanctioned by the CA Economical Section, which is the Canadian Department of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Development. He is sanctioned by Bank of England. He's sanctioned by AU. He's sanctioned by the Swiss State Secretariat as well. But I want to know more about it. I want to know that, what is he sanctioned for? So I click that. And basically, it gives me more information about this individual, all the information which is required to do the due diligence. So basically, it tells me that this is on the OFAC sanction list. So therefore, this person is sanctioned. So that gives me enough confidence that he is a sanctioned individual, so I can appropriately act on this information. I also want to know, as a KYC analyst or a person who's doing a due diligence, that what is if he is a PEP, what is he PEP for? Like, how is he associated with any of the political figures? And again, the same principle. I click the PEP flag. It shows me that he has at least 2 matches. I'm more confident about the 100% match, and let's see that how he a PEP. He's a PEP. So he's a PEP because the European Union added him for actively supporting materially or financially in the Russian decision maker responsible for annexation of Crimea. So he is pretty strongly associated with some of the political landscape of Russia. So now I know more about him. There is adverse media and enforcement, and I want to check that as well, so that I complete my due diligence and know exactly what I need to know about this particular individual. So again, the same principle. I click the flag. I come to the right-hand drawer, deep dive into the more information. And it tells me that the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine has sanctioned him or has put him for added him to actively supporting materially or financially. Now, this is much more than only drunk driving, etc. This is pretty serious information about this individual. So this information helps me as a KYC analyst and you as a customer to decide whether you want to do business with this bank or not. If you see, there are many of these. So there is not only one, there is other individuals as well who are sanctioned, PEP, and have negative news about them. It helps you identifying the risks around the individuals. So this is one of the module which is available to you all to save time and some effort. I would love to have your feedback on this one, and we have some questions which we will be asking specifically after the demos. And you can also give us more feedback about whether this feature works for you. You want any more enhancement on these features? You can tell this to us using the Q&A tab or the feedback section. Let's move on to the second feature. So the second feature I want to demo is the Wolfsburg questionnaire in the digital format. So the digital version of Wolfsburg Correspondent Banking Due Diligence questionnaire is always in demand. So it was always available in the document section. So let's take an example. Let's go to, let's say, DZ Bank. And let's go to the document section. So as you can see, these Wolfsburg questionnaire always existed in Bankers Almanac. You guys have told us that Wolfsburg questionnaire is the first document you use to know more about a particular bank, to see that, if the process is being followed, to see that, what are the policies they are having, and so on and so forth. But you guys also told us that using a PDF to work through this information is very cumbersome. It's difficult, especially when you have to focus on certain section of the questionnaire as per your organization policy. And when you have to copy and transfer this information into your reports or into your system, so it becomes difficult. So we have this PDF is available, but we have also converted that into a digital format. So all you have to do is come to the document section, look at the Wolfsburg questionnaire you want to consume. If you want PDF, you can obviously click this link. But if you want to consume data in the digital format, there is this link here, which basically says view digital document. And you click that and you come to this page, which has the same information available in the searchable format. We also have jump to links because you may be interested in certain sections. So we know that you are interested in, or a lot of customers are interested in this section, which is section 10, so that you basically understand the sanction policies, sanction procedures. You are also much more interested in the audit procedures taken care by the bank, and therefore you can directly jump onto it. If you want to consume this information for copying and pasting it into your systems or into your reports, you can just press this export CSV button, and this will be available in a CSV format for you. You can copy, paste, or you can do your further processing. So we have solved this problem. We are also working on raising flags. So certain questions, which basically is important from your point of view to review. So we are working on an algorithm to have machine review that question, so that when as a customer you come to this this digital format, there are some flags which has been raised to draw your attention to make sure that you do not miss out on something which is more important than the others. That will be released in next few months' time. We are already working on that. Again, I would love to have your feedback on that. We have one or two questions in the Slido, through the Slido section, which Julia will be asking. Well, please feel free to post any of your question, any of your comments and feedback in the question answer section in the chat. Okay, with that, I will move to the third feature which we are working on, and I will stop sharing and request Julia to start sharing the presentation. So the third feature we are working on is the customer messaging system. So we've been told by many of our customers that invariably, whenever a correspondent relationship is happening, or whenever the due diligence is happening, there are always questions which you need to ask with as part of the counterparty discussion. Some of these example questions are that you ask for the information on authorized signatory. You may ask for the passport copies of board of directors or the people of influence. And what happens today? It has been shared through email. It's been shared also through posts in certain cases, and all these are unsafe unsafe channels. So we want to basically provide the ability within the Bankers Almanac to have the bi-party discussions, so that if you have any of the question you want to ask directly to your correspondent bank, you can ask for it. You want to ask for any doubt, it will just be a message away. So Julia, if you can go to the next page. So how will it work? How will it work is that we will have the same interface. And for example, in this case, you are, let's say, Deutsche Bank. And Deutsche Bank is doing a due diligence on with the Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank. And there is a question. And the question is that, can you provide me a list of authorized signatory? In a normal circumstance, the Deutsche Bank would write to the Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank. Usually, our customers pick up the information from entity details. It's a phone number or email address. And then, either you call that person or that, email that person for this information. It takes a bit of time, and it's, outside in the open network. What we are working on is to provide a facility that, if you are doing a due diligence here, if all the correspondent documents are here, you can initiate this conversation right here. So all you have to do is just, click the Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank. It opens a message. You say, good morning, please, can you provide me authorized signatory? Thank you. And then send the information. Julia, can you move to the next page, please? And what will the other side receive? They will receive that, these are the documents which or the information somebody is asking for. It's almost like an inbox which we are creating. This inbox is encrypted at both the levels within the product. So we cannot see what you guys are talking, except it's not available to the outside world. So it's the safest way of providing information, asking for more information, exchanging documents, etc. And that's how it's going to work. So again, we are working on this. It's very much into development. It's coming in 2023. We would love to have your feedback on this one. If you would like to have, part of the beta customers, we would love to invite you to be part of that as well. With that, I will hand over to Julia to basically ask a few of the questions. We would love for your participation on and feedback on that. Over to you, Julia.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. So if you would be so kind as to jump into slido.com, we have an event code there. So we've just got 4 questions which we want to get your feedback on. We'll just give everyone a couple of moments to get into that Slido, and then I will publish the first poll. Del and Sumit, just for your reference as well, we've got a few questions which have come through for the Q&A, so I'm just publishing them so they're ready for when we want to go live with that at the end of the session.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. Whilst you're getting that event code up in Slido ready for your devices, just on what Sumit's shared around the Wolfsburg questionnaire, sneak preview. We done up a self podcast with Alan Ketley, who is the executive secretary of the Wolfsburg Group. We had the pleasure of asking him some great questions and getting some great insights from Alan. He's a A-lister in terms of AML financial crime across the globe, worked in industry for many years. There's a podcast that will be coming to your inboxes very soon, so you'll be able to hear those insights as well. They are fascinating, and there's a great analogy that he uses which is absolutely amazing to use. So I urge you to listen to that as we make it available to you all very soon.
Perfect. So we're having a few votes coming in here. We've had about 30 so far. We'll keep this one running for a little while. So this is just a question around whether you would find people of influence a useful addition to the data which is in Bankers Almanac KYC at the moment. All right, Dal, are you happy to move to the next poll?
Yes, let's do it. So this question really comes in the spirit of what we've digitalized already, as Sumit showcased. We're just keen to understand if there's anything more we can do in this space across the several documents that we house in Bankers Almanac. So clearly, banking license is the next on the list for 82% of respondents. We'll give it a few more minutes for folks to respond, and we'll see what the result is.
Brilliant. 29 responses so far. We'll keep this one up a little bit longer. Great, so 40 responses there. Shall we move to the next one, Dal?
Yes, please. Thanks, Julia.
This is a question around that Wolfsburg questionnaire. Seems like it's a resounding yes so far.
You spoke too soon, Julia. It's good to get this
I jinxed
insight.
it.
You jinxed it. Yeah, no, it's all good. It's good to get these insights because it really helps us fuel and prioritize the roadmap and equally our design and discovery work. So I really appreciate everyone's insights. There is no right or wrong answer. Just trying to get a clear indication of where you'd like us to focus. Just another 10 or 20 seconds more, and then we'll move on.
And let's move on to the next question, final question.
So here, this is really looking at aspects of alerting within the product. So if something changes, currently there's some level of alerting. We're looking at what to prioritize next for that level of alerting. So updates to Wolfsburg questionnaire, the content around it, knowing if something has changed is essentially what we're really asking here. Is that something that you would like to receive as an alerting update to you within the product itself or through our API?
Great. Are you happy to move on to the Q&A section, or do you want to leave a couple more seconds for people to respond?
I think we're good to move on. So thank you everybody for participating in the Slido and the key questions that we asked. So really appreciate all of those inputs and insights. And let's move on to Q&A for the entire session. So I understand you've got some questions already coming through, Julia.
Yes, we've had a few questions, so I can just run through those individually. We've had a couple of questions with the presentation we shared, so I'm sure we'll be able to share something after this event. The first question for you, Del Sumit, is how often will the information about UBOs be updated?
Great question. So at minimum, that data gets updated at least once a year, and I would emphasize minimum once a year because there can be multiple updates on the data. So minimum, we refresh it annually, but as and when we understand updates from banks, we update the information. As and when we hear alerts around data and banks maybe having mergers and acquisitions, as we've heard, there's a merger and acquisition in Europe going to be happening in coming months and days. We would use that as a trigger event to evaluate and review the UBOs and update them. And equally, banks coming forward and saying our UBOs have updated, we make updates based on that. So at minimum once a year, for any one of those events that happens or occurs, we will update the information in the tool itself. And then just to sort of round that question out, in terms of what was showcased by Sumit in terms of the insights on the UBOs, that data is refreshed on a daily basis. So it's a continuous cycle of checking against sanctions list and our PEP list and our adverse media news data that we have. So that's a daily occurrence that happens in terms of bringing those insights. Sorry, Julia, the next question, please.
Thanks, Del. The next question is around whether the information on sanction PEP available for all customers, or do they need to subscribe?
That is a subscription. So those that subscribe to UBO today will get that insight. Those that don't subscribe to UBO, there's a requirement for you to subscribe to UBO to get that insight.
Perfect. The next question is, the digital CBDDQ is a great feature. Is this feature available regardless of the version of the CBDDQ? So whether it's 1.2, 1.3 or 1.4?
Yeah, so I can take that question. Yes, it is available 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, irrespective, the digital information is available. But we keep the most latest of the CBDDQ in the digital format. So if you look in the document section, you may find the PDF historic documents as well. But for digital format, we would keep whichever one is the latest submitted by the bank. In fact, as you guys know, that CBDDQ has a new version as well. So we are already making efforts to change our format in a way that when banks start submitting the new version, we make it available as well. So it will always be available as the digital format.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And just to give some insight, the amount that we have digitalized, it's for over 4,500 Wolfsburg questionnaires that we've have active and live within Bankers Almanac, and we've digitalized around 110 attributes per questionnaire. So that's currently live today as we're speaking and we're on this webinar. There's 495,000 data points associated to the Wolfsburg questionnaire that we've digitalized across the versions that Sumit referenced to. So please go and have a look and play with it and give us your feedback as we look to evolve the feature set as Sumit described.
Perfect. Another question on Wolfsburg questionnaire while we're there is the digitized Wolfsburg report signed and dated?
It is a requirement. So the original document, that's still there as it has always been. So that's there. And then what we've just done is off that, we digitalize the data. So yes, is the short answer to that question.
Perfect. Next question is, when we look for the bank ranking for a specific country going to credit ranking, could we have a more detailed selection?
Well, I'd really like to dig deeper into that requirement. So short answer is really would like to understand that requirement. So person who's asked that question, if you could send your details, either Sumit or myself will follow up with you directly to understand the requirement. Really interesting that that question gets asked, because what we are thinking about doing is how we can bring some of that data together to bring more insights, so not just the bank ranking data, but the credit ranking data and any other additional data that will help customers make better decisions in the work that they do.
Thanks, Dale. Another question here. Are we able to download branch information in PDF?
So branch information is available to download in a CSV format because customers have told us that they sometimes need this information for further processing. We haven't got many requests to do that in the PDF format. But we would love to hear that what is the use case on that one. But today it is available to be downloadable in a CSV in an Excel format.
Great, thanks, Sumit. Let me just see what the next questions are. That one. One other question is, do you plan to install an additional section for the ISSA documentation?
No current plans, but again, key requirement that we'd like to understand a little bit deeper. I'm not sure if that's a requirement that's come through yet, but we'll triage it and we'll look to respond to that.
Brilliant, thank you. I think that those are all of the questions. If anybody else has any final questions, you can still answer those. Sorry, ask those in the Q&A section.
Just like to say a big thank you for not just the quantity of the questions, but the quality of the questions. Really exceptional. So thank you so much. But happy to take further questions as well. Just wanted to say a big thanks for that.
There's just one comment that I've seen, which is just a comment rather than a question, around that it's easier to have information extracted from the CBDDQ when we sign and send rather than actually copying it again into the site. So maybe that's something that we can explore as well, Dal. I think there's just one more question that has come through. Question here is, would you like to understand if users of Bankers Almanac could ask the banks, for example, to provide updated versions of the Wolfsburg questionnaire?
Certainly going to be possible through, I would say, customer messaging system. So it's one of the drivers for putting that in play today. So as you heard from Sumit, you could have two banks, two correspondents, other sides of the world. So they're using our product, but they don't communicate using our product. And that's something intentionally by design that we're looking to bring in as part of that customer messaging system.
Brilliant. There doesn't look to be any further questions at this time.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for the quality and the quantity of all the questions. Thank you for your engagement in the Slido section, and I'm quietly confident that you've left certainly with some insights on what we've been up to, what we intend to do, and certainly myself, Julia, Sumit, we leave with some great insights and food for thought in terms of how we look to evolve the product and shape our roadmap over the next 2 or 3 months. I look forward to speaking to you next time, and please watch out for that podcast that we'll be releasing very shortly, which is talking about the Wolfsburg questionnaire with Alan Ketley at the Wolfsburg Group. So thanks very much everyone for your time today, and look forward to speaking to you in the very, very near future. Thanks again.